so I apologize for the delay between videos in the series. Today we're going to be learning about zoysiagrass, where to use it, and how to identify it. Zoysiagrass is an excellent choice for the southern and transition zones of the United States. There are two types of zoysiagrasses commonly grown in the U.S. as turf grasses. The first is frequently just referred to as zoysiagrass, but is also known as Japanese lawn grass. Its scientific name is Zoysia japonica, and it is fairly wide-bladed. The japonicas are the only zoysias that are available as seeded and vegetative types. Zoysia japonica as a whole has excellent heat and cold tolerance and can be found from the Gulf Coast to as far north as Connecticut, Ohio, and Kansas. Another type of zoysiagrass commonly found in the United States is Zoysia matrella or Manila grass. The matrellas have finer leaf texture than the japonicas and are generally thought of as more attractive. Manila grass has the ability to be mowed shorter than the japonicas, but lack the cold tolerance, so you will see these growing from the Gulf Coast up to southern portions of the transition zone, including North Carolina, Tennessee, and Oklahoma. Zoysia matrellas are only available vegetatively through sod or plugs. There are a few really excellent characteristics of zoysia grasses. They are slower growing than many grasses, so they do not have to be mowed as often as others. Because of this, to increase safety, zoysias are frequently used on steep slopes to reduce the number of times a mower has to be on the slope. Further, zoysias tend not to spread as much into landscape beds, which is common with Bermuda grass and Kentucky bluegrass. The slow growth rate can also be undesirable, as thin or damaged areas tend not to fill in as quickly as other species. Because of this, zoysias are rarely found on athletic fields or driving range tee boxes. Zoysias are extremely dense, so are fairly weed resistant and are somewhat drought tolerant. However, they tend to become thatchy over time and are a warm season grass, so will be dormant and a tan color through the winter. To identify zoysias, we will look at the characteristics detailed in the first video in this series. First, we'll look at the newly emerging leaf in the middle of the plant, or the vernation. This leaf will be rolled around itself or folded in half. As we get into smaller and smaller grasses, some of these characteristics get tougher to see, so you may want to pick up an inexpensive hand lens for identification. The vernation on zoysiagrass is rolled. We'll often see a conical shape with rolled grasses, and you can usually see the leaf unrolling. The second characteristic I look for is the ligule, found where the mature leaf bends away from the stem. The zoysia ligule is hairy. If you poke around a little on the soil surface, you'll quickly be able to pull up a stolon. Zoysias also have rhizomes, which you can find if you dig into the soil a little. One great identification characteristic for zoysias is that the new plants come off the stolons and rhizomes at pretty much 90-degree angles. If you ever get confused between Bermuda grass and zoysia grass, look for these branching angles off stolons and rhizomes. Zoysias are at 90 degrees, while Bermuda grass daughter plants branch off at 45 degrees. Other things to look for when identifying zoysias are a spear tip on the end of stolons and rhizomes and the steeple-like leaf tip. Finally, the zoysia seed head is a slender raceme that is usually present during the spring or during stressful periods. The old cliche, practice makes perfect, really rings true with grass identification. The more that you look at these, the easier they're going to be to identify them.